It was kind of Chekhov's fish.
Oh, Chekhov's fish, not Schrodinger's fish.
I mean, we don't know whether that fish was alive or dead.
Welcome to Baggage Claim, an unofficial Jet Lag the Game companion podcast. We're continuing our off-season tradition of rewatching past seasons while waiting for the next one. Today, we're unpacking episode 5 of season 2, Circumnavigation. I'm Jaya.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Kira.
Casey, when was the last time you touched a fish?
I love this question. I recently went on a family trip to Croatia, and we went snorkeling in the Blue Lagoon.
Ooh.
And I saw some beautiful fish. We shared a moment, a tender touch, and I loved it.
That sounds magical.
It was.
Kira, how about you?
So I was also in Croatia on that trip and didn't touch a single fish. I'm feeling a little bit left out and jealous. I can't think of a time that I've touched a fish, I'll say in the past decade. So I'm going to say the last time I touched a fish was when I ate tuna rice, which is a meal that Casey taught me to make, which is where you make rice and you put tuna on it and a vegetable and cheddar cheese, and that's your meal, and it's delicious.
And it's really good, and I would say the best vegetable to go in it is kale.
Yes, well, yes.
Okay.
And you can put kale in your rice as you're making the rice.
Yes.
True.
And you use a rice cooker. And this is really, and we simply don't have the time to get into our debrief of the layover life advice episode because I have so many thoughts. The one note I will say is
Sam needs a rice cooker.
It is actually possible to make rice that you don't need to microwave it.
It's really easy. You just throw it in the rice cooker, and honestly,
You hit the button for rice,
Yes.
It goes. It's good rice.
and you could put other stuff in there. You could put seasoning. You could put like better than bouillon. You could put frozen veggies. It is
put
super
salmon
simple.
in. You can
Yes.
put rice
Yeah,
and
you can
meat
cook a fish.
on top.
Yes. Okay. So that is it. But tuna rice, don't knock it till you try it. It's excellent.
It's delicious.
I have my doubts, but I will try it. The last time I touched a fish was probably like last week. I was standing in the river, as I like to do in the summer, and every now and then little fish will just come up to you and like nibble on your ankles.
Why
and
are
so
fish
I got
coming
nibbled
up to
on by
both of
fish.
you?
Look, we both have spiritual connections with these fish.
It's
Why
the
aren't they
vibes,
coming
I
up
guess.
to me?
You have to send those vibes out.
Let's jump into our recap. This episode is, I think, the one with the strongest imbalance between how much fun the two teams are having in most, if not all, of jet lag. We start with Batum getting extremely delayed in the airport on their way to Australia because their plane got struck by lightning, and Team Jam in the casino in Singapore looking for a bar. Team Jam, unable to find any local liquor, decides to just grab $300 on having a good time and gamble it all to try and book the long-haul flight out of Singapore. They lose all their money, and the game just becomes, can Batum make it back to Denver in the next 35 hours before the 100-hour time limit is up? Batum's delay ended up meaning that the flight they booked to Fiji as proof of onward travel actually ended up being their best option to leave Australia. So they go fishing in Australia in order to book travel out of Fiji. This is an absolute struggle, with both of them getting tangled in fishing line and their rod falling apart, but ultimately concludes in victory when Adam notices the tiniest fish in the world at the bottom of their net. They book a flight from Fiji to LA and make both the flight to Fiji and the one to LA with minimal drama, besides getting nervous that Team Jam is either in jail or about to win, because they haven't claimed a challenge in about 28 hours. To earn the final $80 that they need to make a flight to Denver, they get drunk on bourbon. Batum finally make it to Denver after 92 hours, 37 minutes, and 14 seconds, winning them Season 2 of Jet Lag the Game. To conclude our recap, I've come up with a title to highlight the most important moment of the episode. One of the highlights in this episode, or lowlights depending on your perspective, was Team Jam gambling their life away, so I've called it Jamblin' Your Life Away.
I love all your jam puns.
Oh, that's really good. That's way better than what I had. I just had small fish, big pond. But
I like
really
that,
like
though.
I like that
Jamblin'.
too.
I like that especially because they had to cross the Pacific in this one, and that's just a really big pond.
Just a large pond.
And with that, I will pass it to myself for the Strat Chat. Welcome back to the Strat Chat, our segment where we break down the strategy and gameplay of the episode. Of course, this was the last episode of the season, and there wasn't really that much strategy involved that we haven't already discussed. So I just have one question to pose to you both about this game in general. I think it was really interesting that they really thought the game was gonna be who can get to Europe first, but it ended up being more decided by who could get to Singapore first, because pretty much every flight out of Singapore is a long-distance one, either crossing the Pacific or some portion of it, and therefore really pricey. Regionally, do you guys see any other places in the world that could have been a bottleneck like Singapore was for Southeast Asia, or do you think that was kind of unique to Southeast Asia?
That is such an interesting question. And I do think part of it seems to be related to COVID, where Singapore was at least fairly open, allowing people to travel in and out. And I know other countries in the region just weren't, which really limited the options for flights in and out. I honestly kind of think that I could see Australia being somewhat of a bottleneck if both teams had ended up needing that distance requirement to, you know, even just getting from Singapore to Australia, I think, could have potentially been something both teams were looking at.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing, which is if Sam and Joseph hadn't gone to Cancun in the beginning, I think that Sydney could have been the bottleneck more than Singapore, actually.
Yeah.
Because the flight between Singapore and Sydney wouldn't have been that expensive comparatively. And so then the really big long-haul flight would have been Sydney. I am also curious whether there would have been more of a bottleneck in getting to Europe if both teams had decided to go to New York. Like, I guess I'm wondering, part of the reason it was so difficult once they were in Singapore, I think the two biggest struggles were that both teams were going for the same challenges and that there weren't many challenges left. And so I'm sort of thinking that maybe there was never really going to be a bottleneck in the beginning of the game because there was just a larger pool of challenges that were available. So even if both teams went to New York, if Ben and Adam did the pastry mile, then Sam and Joseph would have just done something else. And so it would have been harder for them to sort of snipe the other team's challenges because there's just a bigger pool. Whereas later in the game, it's more likely that they're going for the same challenges because there are fewer challenges that give a whole lot of money. So like we saw both teams attempt to catch a fish and both teams were planning on going bungee jumping and both teams wanted to do Michelin star. I do think that this big of a bottleneck maybe is more specific to Southeast Asia, Australia, like crossing that ocean.
I think I agree with you because the two places that I see potential bottlenecks would be the places where you necessarily have to take a long-haul flight, and that's the two oceans.
Yeah.
You're going to need to get over the Atlantic in a long-haul flight, and you're going to need to get over the Pacific in a long-haul flight, but because the Atlantic is narrower, like longitude-wise, you don't need to go as far, and also you have the jet stream, so flights are a bit shorter. To go over the Atlantic, you can end up in a way bigger variety of locations than you could if you're going over the Pacific. So if you're going over the Atlantic, like you could fly into London, you could fly into Paris, you could fly into Milan, or somewhere in Spain. Like you could pretty much go into anywhere in that central Western Europe area that has a large enough airport. Out of Southeast Asia, there are just as few airports coming out of them, but fewer places that you can get to, where you pretty much have to be going to, like, Seattle, San Francisco, or LA.
Yeah. It's also interesting that I don't think that there was as much of a bottleneck getting from Europe to Southeast Asia, even though it ended up being a long-haul flight for both teams. And I think part of the reason was because there was more diversity of places within Europe that they were. So it didn't matter so much that they were going to the same place because it mattered that they were in different places when they were completing their challenges.
Yeah.
And also, I think that it does matter that there are more options for getting from Europe to Southeast Asia. So earlier on, we were talking about how Sam and Joseph were considering going through Dubai. So if there were things that started to break down with their plans, there are other options for taking more legs of cheaper flights, whereas that's just not really the case.
Yeah, that's just not possible over an ocean.
Right, like you can get to Fiji, and then from Fiji, you have to jump to LAX.
Like, you still have to go over the whole Pacific, even though the jump to Fiji was pretty much the farthest they could get.
Yeah. Like, you could do Fiji to Hawaii, but then at that point, like, you're not saving that much time or money.
Yeah. And none of the airports in Hawaii are that big, so that would be expensive as hell.
And during COVID.
Yep. Well, I think that's really interesting. I like using this sort of question to look back on the season as a whole, and I think it's really interesting that Singapore ended up being such a bottleneck to get over the Pacific. And with that, Kira, I will pass it to you.
Thanks, Jaya. Now that we've gotten to the end of the season, it's time to determine what the best challenge was. We're going to do this bracket style, going through the challenges in chronological order until we have one ultimate winner. There are quite a lot of challenges this season, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, I'm going to ask if you can try to agree on 3 challenges you want to eliminate immediately. So I'm going to start by reading through all of the challenges, and then we'll start some discussion. We saw running a local pastry mile, then take a photo at your city's top 5 landmarks, build and ride a go-kart, visit the US consulate, give your teammate a piggyback ride, touch a bird, gamble at a casino, eat a menu item at McDonald's that you can't get in the US, transfer a cup of water from one fountain to another, purchase a hat worth more than $100, ascend 500 feet or 152 meters to a high point without touching pavement, pick up 3 pounds of trash, make a 30-second parkour video, go bungee jumping, travel 1 mile on water under human power, eat at a Michelin-starred restaurant, have a good time, get drunk on a local liquor, and catch a fish.
I immediately have 3 that I would like to propose eliminating. I think visit the US consulate and purchase a hat worth more than $100 are both just kind of forgettable and would rank low anyway.
Yep.
And then I think gamble at a casino is just evil. So I would like to eliminate it.
I agree on the US consulate and purchasing a hat worth more than $100. I think they are some of the most forgettable challenges in the season. I am very torn about gamble at a casino because of how iconic it is.
It's
right. Such an iconic sequence,
right.
But also it's like devastating and makes me nauseous.
You're right. Well, then what about transfer a cup of water from one fountain to another? I feel like that also was kind of forgettable.
Like, I like that challenge, but I don't think it's going to be making it very far anyways.
So, first up on the bracket, we have run a local pastry mile against take a photo at your city's top 5 landmarks.
Pastry mile.
Pastry mile by a mile. By a pastry mile. Just iconic. I think that take a photo at your city's top 5 landmarks was a good challenge.
Yeah.
But you can't, I mean, come on, local pastry mile.
I mean, I also think that take a photo at your city's top 5 landmarks, as we're about to get to, it was just overshadowed by the other challenge going on at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I also agree. Next, we have build and ride a go-kart against give your teammate a piggyback ride.
Go-kart.
Go-kart.
Agreed.
I think it's just such a good challenge all around. Super
And
entertaining.
go-kart is so good.
Genuinely a little challenging, I think.
Yeah. Challenging but doable and makes for great viewing.
Yes. Next, we have touch a bird against gamble at a casino.
I think touch a bird is quite funny, and I do think that it has like lasting repercussions throughout other seasons.
And I think both of them were decently iconic sequences, and sequences that like made you feel dread in your stomach.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I think touch a bird.
Nice. Next, we have McDonald's item that you can't get in the US and ascend 500 feet.
Okay, so my conflict here is that I think had they done ascend 500 feet as written, it would be, or like not as written, but like had they ascended 500 feet up a hill or mountain, it would be a much more memorable or unique to the location sequence than I think it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I didn't love either of these.
I feel like I'm kind of inclined to give it to ascend 500 feet just because it kind of established Sam as a bit of a stinker in the early seasons.
Okay, I like it.
Is always good.
It's important for his character arc on the show.
Exactly.
It's character growth.
Literally.
Next up, we have pick up 3 pounds of trash and make a 30-second parkour video.
Parkour.
Despite the audacity of that parkour video, I agree.
This is crazy. This is the first one that I have not agreed with. I prefer
Really?
Pick Up 3 Pounds of Trash. I think it's Good Samaritan.
Well,
I
I'm
do not care
saying
for that.
I think Pick Up
not.
3 Pounds of Trash is a good challenge, but I do think the 30-second parkour video, we had so many feelings about it
Yeah, we
that
really
it can't
did.
not win this.
We really did.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we have bungee jumping and travel 1 mile on water under human power.
I want to say water.
Oh, I was going to say bungee jumping because I think it is really close and both of them have pretty iconic moments. But I just really think the cliffhanger at the bungee jumping place
Literally.
was I remember watching that and being like, I have to watch the next episode immediately to see what
That's
happens.
true. I just really enjoy country-specific scenery, and
Yeah.
seeing the land around them and the water while they were on a kayak was just so beautiful.
It is
Yeah.
interesting. The travel 1 mile on water is my favorite challenge for sure. But I often forget that it even happens because it's so overshadowed by bungee jumping, where it's like,
That's true.
they go bungee jumping, they're so shaken and excited and rich, and then they're like, should we go kayaking?
Yeah, like narratively, bungee jumping is more impactful.
Well, but maybe for that reason, I do think that the travel 1 mile is a better challenge. So maybe let's vote for that.
Next up, we have eat at a Michelin-starred restaurant and have a good time.
I have so many feelings about this because I think eat at a Michelin-starred restaurant has to win, even though I think that have a good time is a really interesting and funny idea for a challenge.
I love when they do have fun challenges.
But not when they were like, I guess that our good time started 20 minutes ago when we were walking around asking bars if they had seats.
Yeah. Have a good time, I think, is so funny as a challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Michelin-starred restaurant has got to win, if only for how goddamn good those noodles look.
Yes.
Yes. And our last pairing of round 1 is catch a fish and get drunk on a local liquor.
Fish.
I think this is tough because get drunk is always an iconic challenge, but the catch a fish in this, the absolute victory in their eyes as they saw the small fish. Oh, you can't beat that.
When I think of circumnavigation, the fish is one of the first things that I think of.
Exactly.
Agreed. All right. Are we ready for round 2?
Yes.
We have run a local pastry mile against build and ride a go-kart.
This is crazy because I was like, it's going to be these two in the finals.
I know! How could you put the two finalists against each other in round 1? That's crazy.
I still think it's go-kart, but that's just because I like the arts and crafts challenges a lot. I think local pastry mile does a bit better of a job with, like, being location specific.
I think that local pastry mile, to me, will forever just be one of the absolute funniest challenges ever.
So harrowing.
Like, I think the editing, I think the words that are spoken in that challenge are so funny. But I do think that build and ride a go-kart as a challenge just feels more cohesive. I like that they're working together to do that. Whereas, Ben was providing a lot of moral support in the pastry
But
mile.
Adam had to do that all by himself.
Yes. So I think I will agree with you to advance the
Yay.
go-kart, even though I really think pastry mile could have taken it all in the end.
Yeah. If the bracket had been different, I think it would have been these two in the finals.
I agree.
do think it's really beautiful that these are two challenges in particular that ended up going on in later seasons, where pastry mile turned into drunk mile, and we've seen go-karts kind of come back, so clearly these are fan favorites too. Next up, we have touch a bird and ascend 500 feet.
Ooh.
I think touch a bird still. It is a little bit harrowing, but it's just kind of wacky, I think, in a way that I enjoy.
Touch a bird is so silly and specific, and I think based on the execution, bird's gotta take it for me.
Nice. Next, we have make a 30-second parkour video and travel 1 mile on water.
Kayaking.
Water for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last, we have eat at a Michelin-starred restaurant against catch a fish.
I think catch a fish.
Yeah, I also think catch a fish.
Just because the editing of them continuing to fail, like they went and purchased a fishing rod, they registered
And they had
for their
to get
license.
a fishing license, I
know.
forgot.
That really
and then they
cracks
just
me
kind
up.
of ended up flailing around with a net.
And, oh god, catch a, it's so good.
I always
It really
forget how
is.
close they come to jumping in the water.
Right?
Yeah. Like, Adam was just sort of staring into the net while Ben was contemplating stripping
Literally.
when he saw the fish.
Literally.
All right, on to our semifinals. We have build and ride a go-kart against touch a bird.
Go-kart.
Go-kart for sure. Look, this is just kind of a Badam challenge bracket. Like, I think that they're...
Yeah.
Like, Sam and Joseph did way more challenges, but they did a lot of the kind of easy,
Yeah,
not
Badam
very
did the fun
interesting
ones.
Yeah.
And then the last bracket of the semifinals is travel 1 mile on water against catch a fish, both of our aquatic ones.
It's hard.
That is hard.
I want to say kayak.
Me too. I think that it is very kind of travel vloggy.
Yeah.
And it's just like nice to see them kind of, they're still struggling to kayak for a mile, but kind of enjoying their travels
But an
a bit
argument
more.
for fish is that we did see some nice Sydney scenery in that.
That's
and
true.
fish was recurring. It was Schrodinger's Catch a Fish. They kept talking about it, and then it finally came up 2
You're
episodes in a row.
It was kind of Chekhov's fish.
Oh, Chekhov's fish, not Schrodinger's fish.
I mean, we don't know
I
whether
mix
that
up the
fish,
two of them.
We don't know whether that fish was alive or dead, to be fair.
True. So do we want to change our answer to catch a fish?
Maybe. It definitely looms
I would
very
be in
large
favor of that.
for the season. Like, I do think
Yeah.
when I think back on this season,
It's Chekhov's fish.
that is a challenge that comes, like that and Pastry
Yeah.
Mile, honestly, are like some
Yeah,
of the
fish,
most memorable.
pastry mile, go-kart, and gambling are the 4 that I think of when I think of circumnavigation.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Well, speaking of, our final is build and ride a go-kart against catch a fish.
Oh, God.
Ooh, it's so tough.
That's
Can't
a
they
hard
tie?
pairing.
Because I do think, like, the go-kart one was fun. But you're right. Like, they did just kind of do it in an alleyway.
Yeah, there was a bit more scenery in Catch a Fish, and it was a bit more location specific, because, like, you can't catch a fish in
Right.
small town America,
But
you know?
both of them were pretty high stakes in that they had to do that
Yes.
challenge in order to make their flight.
Yeah.
True. This is hard. I really wanted go-kart to go all the way, but my
I feel
gut
like
feeling is fish.
Maybe fish is just more representative of the season.
Especially because Catch a Fish has struggle from both teams.
Yes.
One of them
Yeah.
failing and giving
Yes.
up, and then the other one finally
Yes.
succeeding after
Yes.
also an insane struggle.
Yes.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, you heard it here first. We have decided that the ultimate challenge of circumnavigation is catch a fish.
Yay!
And with that, I will pass it off to Casey.
Thanks, Kira. Welcome back to 1-star reviews. I have a list of 1-star reviews from locations the players visited this season, and it's up to you to match the review to the location. First, it left me feeling very thirsty for hours after.
Whoa. What's salty?
Oh, I was thinking what's like physical exertion. My first thought was bungee jumping.
Because of screaming? Oh, maybe. I was even going to say, like, maybe this is a weird, bad review of the Michelin star restaurant. And they
That's
just
what I was
didn't
about to
understand.
say.
I think I might say Michelin star restaurant.
I'm also gonna say Michelin star restaurant.
You are correct. This is the Michelin star restaurant.
Ooh,
isn't
yay!
that a funny review? Like, okay.
That's so specific.
Get
It's
some
also-
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, drink water. Sorry.
All right, next up. It was safe, yes, but it was not an exciting environment. Nice crew who set up, but the environment was really boring.
That's gotta be bungee jumping, I
I'm
think.
also guessing bungee. Is there anything else that could be?
A boring environment, but nice people.
You know what I'd like this to be? Is I'd like this to be the track in New York, and they're talking about,
Stop.
like, a track event.
Wait, no, I kind of love that.
I think I'm gonna go bungee jumping, though.
I'm also gonna
go
go bungee jumping.
You're right again. This is bungee jumping.
Yay!
The contents in the location gave me a sudden feeling of depression and anguish that I never perceived before, if not for in this location.
Oh no.
What?
Goodness gracious.
I'm going first thought, best thought. I think that is the hardware store in Milan.
Love that. I'm gonna say the casino in Singapore.
Ooh, really good guesses. This was the Van Gogh Museum.
What?
What?
Yeah.
What?
They said, the Van Gogh artwork in the Van Gogh Museum gave me a sudden feeling of depression and anguish that I had never perceived before, if not in this museum.
They're just
That's
tapping into the
harrowing.
Van Gogh anguish of it all.
I know,
Yeah.
I was just going to say they're really empathizing.
Isn't that crazy? All right, next up. Too dusty, and when it rains, too muddy.
I want to say pastry mile track, but I don't know if it was a rubber track or a dirt track.
Oh, I can't think of a good one.
What about the Ascend 500 feet hill?
Oh, maybe I'll say that.
Okay, yeah, and I'm gonna say the track.
Jaya is correct. This is the Pastry Mile track at McCarran Park.
Oh. For some reason, I thought it was a rubber track.
It might have been a rubber track, but there was definitely, like, dirt around it.
Okay,
You know.
yeah.
All right, and for this final review, I found this review, and it's by some sort of, like, Star Wars LARPer reviewer who writes all of their reviews in Star Wars language.
Yo. Okay.
I just really enjoyed. All right, ready for this. Okay. Location, while holding a place of legend, is not a destination I would guide younglings toward. As I walked its length, the Force revealed an unsettling presence peddling strange-smelling herbs, creating an uneasy disturbance. The very air itself was tainted, not by natural fire, but by the lingering scent of these wares, clouding the experience like a shroud upon the Force.
I'm so sorry, I tuned out all of that.
Here's my vibes on what I think they were trying to say was that either somebody was selling street food that smelled really bad or someone nearby was smoking weed.
I'll say one of those is correct.
I'll say the Milan Park. I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
Piggyback Ride Park could be good. I feel like that would be too niche of a place for a Star Wars LARPer to go.
What a great point, actually.
But I don't know what else it would be.
What about Cancun?
Ooh.
Just like the place.
I'm gonna go Singapore Casino.
This was the Santa Monica Pier. And there was more of the
my
review.
God.
There was more of the review that I will now read to you. Yet there are glimmers of light within the shadows. A modest amusement park, an arcade, and merchants offering various wares dot the pier, whispering of merriment. However, for those seeking a sanctuary suitable for a young Padawan's journey, I sense many piers along the coast that shine brighter, where the air is clearer, and the presence more harmonious.
That's so funny.
That's so funny.
this
Also,
Star
Casey,
Wars
you should
LARPer-
narrate audiobooks.
Oh my god! Thank you! That's so kind.
The way that you were reading that, I was, like, enraptured.
Thank you! You both did really well, but Jaya did eke out a victory.
Yay!
So with that, I'll pass things over to Jaya.
Thanks, Casey. For our final round of Rose, Bloom, and Thorn about circumnavigation, Casey, why don't you start us off?
My rose is that the victory of Ben and Adam catching a fish really did give me such a rush. I really enjoyed that moment. My thorn, look, I, as a child, had nightmares that I gambled away my life. That was kind of crazy as an 8-year-old to be dreaming about that, but it is a lifelong fear of mine. So
That's bonkers.
all of the gambling in this season, but especially them gambling and losing so much money in this episode, was so terrible and really does make me question my allegiance to Team Sam in this moment. I'm sorry. And my bloom is that this is not the last time the game is essentially won a day early by Ben and Adam.
Kira, how about you?
My rose is that I love seeing West Coast, Best Coast. It was fun to see even just a little bit of the Santa Monica Pier. I always love when California comes up.
Yeah.
My Thorn is also the gambling major yikes. And also, Team Sam and Joseph were so high-strung that I just sort of refused to believe that they were actually having a good time, and I feel like that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
And my Bloom is that this is the first time we've seen Adam drink on camera, which is interesting because here he really holds his liquor, which is sort of foreshadowing for Adam's turn to go completely ham in the airport in Arctic Escape.
Absolutely. My rose was Batum clowning on LA literally as soon as they landed there. We love to see it.
Supremacy.
Absolutely clown on LA as much as you want.
Yes.
My Thorn is a little one, but their high five upon getting on the train out of the Denver airport sucked. And my Bloom is that this episode and also the last one really showed us catching a fish is very hard, and I love that that comes back when there's a catch a fish season in New Zealand that really seems to weigh heavily on both teams' minds. And with that, thank you for waiting at Baggage Claim. Let us know your thoughts on socials at baggageclaimpod or over email, which is in the episode description. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a comment or give us a follow. We'll see you next week as we gear up for the upcoming season of Tag All-Stars at the baggage claim owned by one really small fish. Goodbye.
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 I love Sam being a stinker era though.
I know.
All right, so 500 feet.
Yes. Next up, we have pick up 3 pounds of trash.
I just thought of hashtag make Sam a stinker again. Sorry. Okay.
When they redo Circumnavigation with new rules, we're gonna bring back Sam Stinker.